Today we are going to be talking about 6.1 through 6.5. Once again, there's a quiz on Monday, so my goal today is to help you to understand what you need to know for your quiz on Monday. Let's look at the first one, question number 1. It asks us, what is an integer? Does anybody remember what an integer is? Anyone want to take a guess? Okay, she says a negative or positive number. What kind of a number? Positive or negative what? Whole number is correct. Okay, an integer is simply a positive or a negative whole number. Next question, true or false? 0 is positive, but it is not negative. Raise your hand if you think it's true. Raise your hand if you think it's false. All right, it is definitely false. 0 is neither positive nor negative. This one asks us to write the opposite of the integer. Landon, what's the opposite of negative 5? Positive 5 is correct. And next one, Mason, what's the opposite of 62? Negative 62. Okay, so the opposite of a positive is always a negative. The opposite of a negative is always a positive. Next one, number 4. Order the integers from least to greatest. Go ahead and try this on your own. What's the tiniest one here? Negative 86. Next one? Negative 17. Next one? All right, as I just was walking around, this is where people made the mistakes. Which one's the next smallest one? 4. A 4, okay? Be careful, because going to the left when you are going this way, I understand that the negatives get bigger. They look like bigger numbers, but they're actually getting smaller, okay? And what's the biggest one that you see there? 12. 12 is the biggest one, okay? So go ahead and box that in. Number 5 is asking us to find the absolute value of the number. How many of you remember what absolute value means? Jakari, what does absolute value mean? How many spaces or numbers it is away from 0. Very good job. So just imagine, you don't have to write this down, but imagine a number line. How many spaces away from 0 is 7? 7, okay? So if you're jumping from here all the way over to 0, you have to hop 7 spaces, okay? So the absolute value is 7. What about negative 5? 5, okay, because you're right here and it's hopping 5 spaces over to get to the 0, so the answer would be 5. Can I ever have a negative absolute value? No. You cannot, okay? Every single time that you have an absolute value, your answer will always be positive. Next up, copy and complete the statement using less than, greater than, or equal to. When you do this, I want to be able to see work on your quiz, okay? So here we have negative 7. That's just the same exact thing, so all I'm doing is just bringing it down right there. But next up, what do these straight up and down lines mean?
Absolute value.
Absolute value. What is the absolute value of negative 7?
7.
Positive 7 is correct. Kyla, help me out. Negative 7 and regular 7, what sign should go in there? You are correct. Negative 7 is less than 7, which means negative 7 is less than the absolute value of negative 7. Once again, I want to see this work right here on a quiz or a test or a homework assignment. Next up, Emma, what is the absolute value of negative 6? 6. Michael, what is the absolute value of negative 4? 4. Jakari, what should go in the blank? 6 is greater than 4, which means the absolute value of negative 6 is greater than the absolute value of negative 4. First up, we are doing the add or subtract here, so this is when you can use that song that we have talked about. Tell me what the song is.
Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract. Take the sign of the larger number, then you'll be exact.
All right, first one. Same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract and take. Do I have a same sign or a different sign? Same sign. Remember, every number has a sign. Where's it at? That sign is directly in front of that number, okay? So this is the same sign. You're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. What do you get?
Negative 16.
Negative 16. If you did not get that correct, just erase your answer and go ahead and fix it. Next up, Gabby, negative 12 plus 12. 0 is correct, okay? Anytime you have a number and its opposite, it will always cancel out and equal 0. Alex, negative 110 minus 10. Is this the same sign or a different sign? Same sign, because every number has a sign and that sign is directly in front of that number. So they're both negative. Same sign, add the numbers, keep the sign. What'd you get? Negative 110. Raise your hand if you got that same answer. All right, if you did not, that's okay. Erase your answer and fix it. Just remember, a lot of you guys are thinking when you see this right here that it's talking about minusing. Well, if you're subtracting a number, that is a negative thing, okay? So just remember, even a minus sign is a subtraction. But also remember, every number has a sign, and that sign is directly in front of that number. So that should have been a negative. Okay, for D, 12 plus negative 3 plus 13 plus negative 5. There's two ways you can do this. Isabel, tell us how you did it.
Well, I did 12 plus negative 3.
Okay, so she worked from left to right. What is that?
It's 9.
Okay, and then you're just going to bring everything else down. Then what did you do?
I added 9 plus 13, which is 27.
Not 27.
Oh!
22. And then just bring down plus negative 5.
Which is 17.
Okay, 17 is correct. Did anyone do the problem differently? All right, Kyla, how'd you do it?
I added negative 3 plus negative 5.
Okay, so here's what she did. I'm going to erase it and kind of redo it. But yes, I do agree. That's Isabel, you did it from left to right, which is perfect. So here's what Kyla is doing. She is finding like terms. This is a negative, this is a negative. What is negative 3 plus negative 5?
Negative 8.
Negative 8. Then she took her other like terms, which were 12 and 13, and what is that?
25.
Plus 25. Okay, now you can see this is a normal integer kind of problem. And you do same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract and take, and what do you get? 17, which is the same answer that Isabel got. On your quiz, I do not care how you do it, but I do want you to show me some kind of work when you do that sort of problem. Next question with number 8. What does a double negative turn into? Isabel.
Positive.
A positive what?
Number?
A positive number is correct. So here for A and B, I've got a couple examples. 4 minus negative 9. Asia, help me understand. What makes this a double negative?
Because there's nothing in between the number. Well, no.
There's two negatives.
Very good. This right here is a negative, and this right here is a negative. And in between it, there is no number in between the two negatives. So that makes it a double negative. So as we just said, Asia, what do I have to do to those double negatives? Turn them into positive. So now instead of saying 4 plus plus 9, that just means 4 plus 9. Asia, what's my answer? 13 is correct. Problem B says negative 12 minus negative 3. Where's the double negative at?
Right here. The in between 12 and negative 3.
Okay, right here. Now, is this also part of the double negative, guys?
No.
No, why not?
Because it's in the middle.
Because there's a number in between the negatives, okay? So you will only do the two double negatives into a positive if there's no number in between them. So now, Alex, what will I rewrite that as?
Negative 12 plus 3.
Negative 12 plus 3, and what's your answer? Okay, remember, same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract and take. So he subtracted it and then got negative 9. Any questions for Alex about that one? All right, I want you guys to go ahead and try A and B on your own. For these ones, we are, finding the product. Is this the same rule, same sign, add and keep, different sign, subtract and take? No, that's only for adding and subtracting. So this one has a totally different rule. Now you're simply counting the negative numbers. How many negative numbers do I have on problem A?
1.
Only one. If there's only one negative sign, will my answer be negative or positive? It will be negative, okay? One negative is odd number, so it's going to be negative sign. Landon, what's the answer?
15.
Correct or incorrect, class?
Incorrect.
Can you help me understand why it's incorrect? Why is it not a positive? If you remember,
negative.
whenever you have only one negative number, your answer will always be negative. So the answer is negative 15. Carlos, let's go ahead and find our sign first. Negative 4 times negative 2. Positive what? Good job, because anytime you have an even number of negative numbers, your answer will always be positive. All right, now remember, the rules are going to be the same exact way whenever you have division. So I want you to find the quotient for these two. Okay, who wants to help me with problem A? Kyla, should my answer be positive or negative? She says positive. Kyla, why would it be a positive answer?
Because both of the negatives, both of the numbers are negative.
Okay, there are two negative numbers there, and two negatives always equals a positive answer. So what's my answer?
Positive 4.
Positive 4 is correct. Great job. Next up, who wants to do problem B? Help me, Katie. Should my answer be positive or negative?
Negative,
Why is it negative?
because you only have an odd number of negatives.
There's an odd number of negatives. There's only one negative there, so I'm going to keep the answer negative, and the answer is?
-2.
Negative 2 is correct. What does it mean to find the mean?
Average.
Find the average, okay? What I want you guys doing, I want you to look for like terms, okay? That's numbers that are like each other. What else is like negative 3,
Negative 12.
negative 12, and negative 7? Why are those alike?
Because they have a negative.
They're all negative numbers, okay? Now let's underline all the positive numbers. What's my positive numbers?
2.
Only a 2, okay? Now we're going to combine like terms. Let's add together what is negative 3 plus negative 12,
15, negative 15.
negative 15 plus negative 7.
21. No, 22.
22,
Negative 22.
negative 22. Add the numbers and keep the sign. Plus, what are my positive numbers?
2.
2. What is negative 22 plus 2?
Negative 20.
Negative 20. Is that my final answer?
No, you have to divide.
You have to divide by 4 because there were 4 numbers up here in my original data set. What is negative 20 divided by 4?
Negative 5.
Negative 5. So your mean or your average is negative 5. I want to show you the other way that you could have done this also. Remember, for finding the mean, you have to add up all of your numbers. So can someone tell me why this right here that I've just done this, why is that a little confusing?
Because it looks like
It's a positive and a negative sign right next to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and put parentheses here. Does that mean that I'm multiplying?
No.
No, it simply means I'm adding a negative number. I'm also going to add negative 7. The reason why we add parentheses is to show this is a negative number, okay? So now, we could have worked from left to right. If we did that, what's negative 3 plus 2?
1. Negative 1.
Negative 1, and then you just bring everything else down. Next up, working from left to right, what's negative 1 plus negative 12? Negative 13, and then you just bring down plus negative 7. Same sign or different sign? Same sign. Add the numbers, keep the sign. What do you get? Negative 20, and then we would divide by how many numbers we have and get negative 5. Notice that these answers are exactly the same. How many of you would say that you would prefer doing it this way, working from left to right? Okay, how many of you guys would rather combine like terms? I do not care which way you do it on a test or quiz, as long as you get the correct answer. Number 12 asks us to evaluate the expression when s equals 10 and t equals negative 4. This is one of those plugging in situations. So Carlos, instead of s divided by negative 5, what should I write? 10 divided by negative 5. Asia, what's my answer? She got negative 2. Do you guys agree or disagree?
Agree.
All right, I heard some disagree. I heard some agree. Listen, right here, there's only one negative number, okay? Because of that, as you are dividing, your answer you know is going to be a negative number, okay? Questions about that? All right, last one. Emma, plug it in, plug it in.
0 divided by 10 plus negative 4.
Very good. Okay, once again, I'm putting parentheses here, not because I'm supposed to multiply, but because it's showing me that that's a negative number. Okay, do you guys remember PEMDAS?
Yes.
PEMDAS, what does the M stand for?
Multiply.
Parentheses is what it stands for. Now, is it talking about this kind of parentheses?
You said M.
You said M.
Sorry, what does the P stand for? Parentheses, okay? Is it talking about that kind of parentheses right there? No, okay? It's talking about the kind of parentheses if you've got like 2 plus 1, it's doing the work inside the parentheses. Otherwise, when you have regular parentheses, that's not what the PEMDAS is talking about. What is the E for PEMDAS? Exponents. Do I have any exponents here? No. If you remember, next up, the M and the D are on the same field. You do them at the same time. What does that stand for?
Multiply and divide.
Multiply and divide. Is there any multiply and divide here?
Yes.
Yes. So let's do that step first. What is 0 divided by 10? 0. And then just bring everything else down. And now all I'm left with is adding the negative number together. What is 0 plus negative 4?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 is correct. So you're going to have to remember this PEMDAS for your quiz on Monday. So please remember what order to do your problems in. So the main thing is I want you guys to make sure you study 6-1 to 6-5 for your quiz on Monday.